heart is beating like a drum. Hey love, you look so beautiful tonight. I see the stars there in your eyes, if you could see the way they shine. Hey love, you look so beautiful tonight. When I'm with you, this world is brighter. Oh love, you shine. Take me and set my heart on fire. Oh love, you shine. You shine. With every step, the way you move, it's all drawing me to you. Love, you've got me feeling so alive. Oh, your heart I'll never break. This is a chance that we should take. Love, you've got me feeling so alive. When I'm with you, this world is brighter. Oh, love, you shine. Take me and set my heart on fire. Oh, love, you shine. You shine like the rhythm of the waves in the ocean. With the speed of your light, set my heart in motion. Holding on to every word you speak. With every breath I take, I believe. You are fire, you are the sun. My heart is beating like a drum.
Open up your mind and say it like me. Open up your hands and tell me you're free. Look into your heart and you find love, love, love. Listen to the music of moment, baby, still with me. We're just one big family. I've been spinning way too long, checking my time in the mirror. Bend over backward just to try to see the glitter. So my red poke out the glass. So do the face and laugh. Thank you.
Hello, is that better? You bet. Okay. I've just got to make sure I've got the right two people here. With everybody dressed in white, I don't want to make a mistake. Chris and Katie want to thank you all for coming to help make this a very special day. Particularly a big thank you for all the visitors who've travelled a very long way to be here from overseas. There's people from Spain, England, Australia, New Zealand, Dubai, Discovery Bay South Plaza, and from Scotland, although they may be holding a referendum to decide whether they're staying or not. And thank you also for everybody dressing in white. I asked Brian a few minutes ago, and he said the last time he remembered being asked to dress all in white was when his wife had a crush on Rudolf Nureyev. But you all look very angelic, probably very misleading. In any event, after the ceremony, we're going to having the weekly Ku Klux Klan meeting, so it's very appropriate. Is that politically incorrect? A particular thank you today, though, for two people, for David and his wife Rachel, without whom this wouldn't be happening. I don't know if some of you know, but actually what happened was Chris introduced David to his wife Rachel, and they subsequently married, and then David and Rachel introduced Chris to Katie. So after many years, David was telling me he's now got his revenge, and they even get to witness it on the wedding certificate shortly. So we're going to start the ceremony now, but before we do, there'll be a reading by Scott. You hear Scott? Yeah, there is. Thank you.
Sweet Child of Mine, Guns N' Roses. She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories, where everything was as fresh as the bright blue sky. Now and then, when I see her face, she takes me away to that special place, and if I stare too long, I'd probably break down and cry. She's got eyes of the bluest skies, and as if they caught the rain. I'd hate to look into those eyes and see an ounce of pain. Her hair reminds me of a warm, safe place where as a child I'd hide and pray for the thunder and rain to quietly pass me by. No, I won't do that. Sweet child of mine, sweet love of mine.
Ready? We're gathered here today to join Chris and Katie in matrimony. Chris and Katie have expressed a desire for a lifelong companionship, sharing comfort and help that husband and wife can have from one another. Before you are joined in matrimony, it is my duty to remind you of the solemn and binding character of a marriage contracted under the marriage ordinance, which is in law the voluntary union for life of one man and one woman to the exclusion of all others. Know ye therefore, Christopher John Ingham and Katie Jane Jepson, that by the public taking of each other as man and wife, in my presence and in the presence of the persons now here, and by the subsequent attestation thereof by signing your names to that effect, you become legally married to each other, although no other rite of a civil or religious nature shall take place. So now I'm going to ask you to take the vows. So Chris.
I call upon all persons here present to witness that I, Christopher John Ingham, do take thee, Katie Jane Jepson, to be my lawful wedded wife.
I call upon all persons here present to witness that I, Katie Jane Jepson, do take thee, Christopher John Ingham, to be my lawful wedded husband.
Now you've got your own vows to read. So now they're going to have their own vows. Chris, possibly, yeah?
So I've got the memory of a goldfish. So. Katie, I love your effortless beauty, your genuine soul, your wicked sense of humour, and your brutal honesty. You kill people with kindness and are the most supportive friend, and you stay up to watch footy with me right to the end. But most importantly, I just love you.
So I just decided just to wing it. So Chris,
Brutal honesty.
from the moment that I met you, I fell in love with you, and we were basically inseparable. I called you, my pet name for you was my favourite waste of time. And it turns out that you weren't my favourite waste of time, and I'm happy. I love you. It's been the best 7.5 years of my life with you, and may there be many, many more.
In the window.
We're just going to have a reading now by Antonia, if she's got a hand free.
Love is about finding the person who, even when they drive you mad and you want to kill them, you still can't imagine your life without them. Nobody is perfect, but you are perfect for each other. Chris, you found a woman who brings the joy to every situation. She packs the vodka during a tsunami warning. She lovingly decorates your face when you pass out before her. And she will give you all her heart, no matter how vulnerable it makes her feel, because she loves and trusts you. Katie, you found a man who will protect you and your girls to the end of the earth. He will scare away any bullies and offer alternatives when their skirts are too short. He will keep the area you want to dance in male-free, just so you've got more room. And he will love you with all his heart. He's been planning his future with you for years. Marriage is like going on an adventure. Sometimes it's 5-star, and other times you're roughing it. But at least now, Katie, you'll always have someone to carry your luggage. Chris, we are so proud of the man you have become, and we love the person you've chosen to spend the rest of your life with. Katie, from the day we met you, we knew we wanted to keep you, and now we get to. We also get Charlotte, Dior, and Mika. Welcome to the Ingham family. 2 important things to remember, though. As far as anyone knows, we're a nice, normal family. And more importantly, no gipsy backsies.
We're going to go over to table down. If you want to sit down, so you can sit down. We're just going to sign the wedding certificate now.
It's a beautiful night. We're looking for something tough to do. Hey baby, I think I wanna marry you. See the look in your eyes, always in the sun. Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you. Well, I know there's still a chapel on the boulevard we can go. No one will know. Oh, come on, girl. Who cares if the trash got a packet full of cash? We can roll. Shots of patrol. And it's on, girl. Don't say no, 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 no. Just say yeah, 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 yeah. And we'll go, 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 go. If you're ready, like I'm ready. It's a beautiful night. We're looking for something tough to do. Hey baby, I think I wanna marry you. Is it the look in your eyes, or is it the stuff you do? Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you. Oh, I could get a ring, let the choir bell sing like ooh. So what you wanna do? Let's just run, girl. Oh, if we wake up, hey, for the rain up at school.
Now the blessing for the marriage. May your marriage bring you all the exquisite excitements a marriage should bring. And may life grant you also patience, tolerance, and understanding. May you always need one another, not so much to fill your emptiness as to help you know your fullness. A mountain needs a valley to be complete. The valley does not make the mountain less, but more. And the valley is more a valley because it has a mountain towering over it. So let it be with you and with you. May you need one another, but not out of weakness. May you want one another, but not out of lack. May you entice one another, but not compel one another. May you succeed in all important ways with one another, and not fail in the little graces. May you look for things to praise, often say, I love you, and take no notice of small faults. If you have quarrels that push you apart, may both of you hope to have good sense enough to take the first step back. May you enter into the mystery, which is the awareness of one another's presence, no more physical than spiritual, warm and near when you are side by side, and warm and near when you're in separate rooms or even distant cities. May you have happiness, and may you find it making one another happy. May you have love, and may you find it loving one another. David, can we have the rings, please? May these rings be a symbol of your everlasting love and faithfulness to each other, and remind you of
I give you this ring as an eternal symbol of my love and commitment to you.
I give you this ring as an eternal symbol of my love and commitment to you.
So by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you man and wife. Congratulations to you both. You can kiss the bride.
My son's crazy, I'm about to say. The time she's here, you can take a break. Because I'm happy up alone. If you feel like a woman without a roof, everybody clap your hands. Because I'm happy up alone. If you feel like happiness is to you. Because I'm happy up alone. If you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy up alone. If you feel like that's what you wanna do. Because bad news sucking this and that. Give me all you got and don't hold back. Well, I should probably want to, I'll be just fine. No offense to you.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the father of the bride. I'd just like to welcome you all back to Hong Kong. Personally, I have to say what a lovely group of people you are. You all turned up on time. It's amazing because in Hong Kong that doesn't happen very often. Yeah, well, you can do that too. And the thing is, I've been asked to give a speech as a father of the bride, but I've already done that once. So I think the most important thing is I'd like somebody who knows her better than anybody else tell you a little about Katie. That's her mum. That works too.
Hello? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
good.
good.
Put your glasses on.
Oh, I wasn't expecting this to be so. I wasn't expecting this to be so soon. I thought we were all going to get drunk first.
She's already had the Valium. Okay.
Okay, what to say about my beautiful daughter Katie? Well, most of you know Katie will always know that she's a very capable girl. She's Katie the nurse, Katie the school teacher, Katie the creative cook, Katie the estate agent, Katie the plumber, and Katie the gardener and the carpenter. Oh, let's not forget the electrician. How did she become this capable? I think it was largely to do with her independence at an early age. At the age of 8, for Katie, coming to Hong Kong was a fantastic adventure. Even leaving a beautiful garden and a house in London for a tiny 300 square foot flat in Wan Chai. That didn't faze Katie at all. Thank you. I'm very nervous. Anyway, starting a new school with classmates of all different nationalities was also part of the excitement for Katie. Unfortunately, class finished at 1 p.m. and since there were no air cons in the schools back then and we didn't have a helper, this was certainly not a problem for Katie. She had it all worked out. She would spend her afternoons until I came home at 5 o'clock. Take that one. The school was a short walk from our flat, which was really tiny. And thank goodness Hong Kong was still a safe place in those days, and still is. Katie's first port of call was the police station, where she checked in with a friend called Trish Walsh. My friend Trish was very good. She taught how to type and how to become a good detective, and that hasn't finished. She's still one of those now.
Watch out, Chris.
After that, she would wander to the NAFI, right, where you can buy real English sweets, because in those days in Hong Kong, English sweets weren't around. Just around the corner from the NAFI was Mr. Chan's furniture shop, where she would while away time making small pieces of furniture for her doll's house. After that, she would visit Mrs. Wong, the curtain lady, where she learned all about sewing techniques. Feeling peckish? No problem, because Mrs. Lee's cake shop was on the corner, Now it was absolutely time to roll out the pastry, and Mrs. Wong was expecting her, and she would make those famous custard tarts. And of course she'd sample them while she was there. So by now it was nearly 5 o'clock and time to go home, and that's where we would meet up. And we all know Katie doesn't like to go home. As a teenager, Katie loved to escape.
You have to listen. Katie, you really have to take this on board, love.
And most of that time it was at night to visit her friends on the beach. Method one, and most popular, was scale down the drain pipe out of her house from her upstairs window. Method two was to walk down the backwards with a glass of water, and if caught, it would appear like she was going up. One night she was sprung in Monchai with her brother Scott in a pub. She was promptly, and both of them were, dispatched to boarding school in a very remote part of New Zealand, where the only excitement was escaping church or cow tipping after lights out. Katie made no bones about how she hated boarding school. She frequently tried to shock me into thinking that boarding school was really bad for her. On one occasion, I was waiting for her at Kai Tak Airport. Her flight was delayed. And standing next to me was a lady whose daughter was also at the same school as Katie. We chatted excitedly about our girls. Oh, how wonderful they're both doing at this school. After some time, her lovely daughter came down the ramp, and she said, "Oh, here's my daughter," and shortly followed by Katie. I was shocked when I saw Katie. I was absolutely shocked. She was wearing a black dress in a gothic kind of looking outfit. She had chains hanging from her. She had thick black eye makeup and a purple lipstick. Her hair was all back-combed up, as if she'd looked like she'd been dragged through a hedge backwards. The lady next to me said, "I can see my daughter. Can you see yours?" To which I replied, "No, I can't see her at all." Later, Katie confessed that she deliberately made herself look like that before she left the plane. Thanks, Katie. Later, whilst training as a nursery nurse at St Thomas's Hospital in London, her accommodation was across the park from the hospital. So getting to work was a challenge in such a dangerous part of the city. Katie's answer to this was to dress up like a homeless person, with a beanie on, and not forgetting the limp, which certainly solved all those problems. Nobody ever came near her. Okay, so today Katie is the very capable mother of 3 girls, Charlotte, Dior, and Mika. Her princess trilogy. And so today, she's married her prince. Is that it? One more.
Your turn, Chris.
What can I say about the prince?
By the way, we're not allowed to mention certain things.
Okay. So, Chris, I won't mention that he loves playing with his balls, which tend to end up in my back garden and ruin my lawn. Nor will I mention a very expensive Tempur mattress, which I asked him to store for me, which was ruined by his brother-in-law, Dave's weak bladder. Thanks. You owe me money. What I will mention though is Chris is totally adoring of Katie and has been the most amazing person in her life. And also to her Princess Trilogy. He has become such an amazing person, and equally Katie adores Chris. And having spent so much time together, this wedding is the icing on the cheesecake. Thought I'd get that one in. Okay, so in that regard, ladies and gentlemen, please charge your glasses and be upstanding. I would like to propose a toast to the Kinghams, to Katie and Chris.
Absolutely super.
Thanks, Chrissy. That was great. It was nice to get off easier than Dave did. Afternoon, friends and family. I just want to thank a few people. There's quite a lot to be thankful for here, especially everyone that set up today. So thanks to them. I want to say thanks to everyone for attending. We have guests from here in Hong Kong, as Jeff mentioned. We've also had people come from as far away as Spain, England, Belgium, Australia, New Zealand, and Scotland. And we really appreciate the effort from all of our nearest and dearest to be with us here today. Where? Never heard of it. No, never heard of it. Probably, yeah. And thanks for all the effort as well to find white outfits. I imagine it was quite difficult for most people, but everyone looks stunning, so thanks for the effort there. I also really want to thank our friend Claire. Where is she? Yeah, Claire's been a really amazing help through all of the planning and running of the wedding. It's been quite an overwhelming time, and recently she's bent over backwards to lighten the load, and we're very grateful to her for that. So thank you, Jodie and all the others who really put some effort in today as well, and Julie and Graham and everyone who put hours in today as well. I need to thank all of our families as well for their constant support. As you've all seen, we've got quite big families, so I won't mention everyone. Definitely not thanking the wind. Brian and Christine for their welcoming me into the family 8 years ago, and for their love and hospitality they've always shown me, and for also raising my favourite person in the world and allowing me to marry her. To my parents, Mum, Chris, Dad and Sarah, you're constant pillars of support to all of us, and you always put in so much effort to go over and above trying to help your family, and it doesn't go unnoticed. The beautiful bridesmaids, Rachel, the constant entertainment hanging out with you always provides is a particular highlight, and thank you for marrying my best mate in this little trade-off we've had, and which means we get to do a lot more of what we like to do, which is spend loads of time together getting pissed. Charlotte, Dior and Mika, our gorgeous girls. It's been such a pleasure and an honour to watch you lot growing every day into the people that you are, and will continue to be, and I'm very proud to be a part of that. My best man Dave, go easy my friend. The term payback's a bitch has never felt so daunting. And finally to my stunning wife, my favourite person in the world. I can't believe it's been over 8 years since you came into my life and made it infinitely better. You're the most caring, hard-working and genuine person in the world. Everyone who meets you loves you. You're such a warm and funny person, and always looking to make the most of every situation and have a good time, and make sure those around you do also, hence the little teapots of Ingham's tequila on everyone's table, which I trust everyone's getting stuck into already. You've also raised 3 beautiful daughters who are all kind-hearted and growing into wonderful adults, as well as juggling a full-time job and one hungry, constantly banged-up, overgrown man-child, in myself. I'm so lucky that you've chosen to love me, We never have a dull moment, and I honestly can't wait for all of our adventures ahead. I'll do everything I can to make you happy. No one deserves it more than you. Can I get a drink? Because this is the toast bit. Oh, not that. Can everyone join me in raising a glass and saying thanks for everyone for being here? Cheers. Cheers. Thanks. Cheers. German till I die.
My first line was well done, Brian, on another excellent Father of the Bride speech, given the advantage you have of giving so many. And so you skipped that one. Well done. You obviously got bored of doing them. Or ran out of content. And well done, Chris. So I think everyone knows me already. I'm Dave. It's already been alluded to. So I was lucky enough to meet Chris 10 years ago on an island beach in Thailand. It's easy to make friends when you're drinking $2 buckets of Mekong whiskey. So we hit it off pretty well, and a few weeks went past in a blur of beaches, beers, massages, some voodoo, and monkey brains. Those were good times. Obviously, you can't live like that forever, so we both moved on with our travels. We kept in touch, and as fate would have it, ended up sharing a house in Australia a year or so later. The party continued. I remember my biggest problem was having to hold down a 9-to-5 job, while Chris had a much more flexible job he could schedule between hangovers. He was a door-to-door cutlery salesman. You did well, right? How many? 0 sales in 6 months. Is that? Yeah. Now, I know I'm supposed to rip into the best man. Into the groom. I've already been ripped into. Thanks, Christine. But Chris is not an easy man to embarrass. Last week, when we had him dressed up in a Tinkerbell costume, we forced him to walk into the bars alone. 2 minutes later, we would come in, and he had the whole bar clapping him and counting his push-ups. So there's not much I can do here to get him ashamed. When we decided the next night to go out later, just the two of us, he put on the outfit without even being asked. It turns out it's more embarrassing for me when my only friend is a giant fucking Tinkerbell. I think it's fate that sees Chris getting married in the Chinese Year of the Dog, because he basically is one. He has a never-ending appetite. He'll eat anything you put in front of him. He needs regular exercise or he gets very grumpy. If he sees a ball, he's fucking gone. He is loyal and he will protect his pack fiercely. But once you get under that bark, he's just a big softie who wants his belly rubbed while he watches his favorite movie. Which I found out last week is The Greatest Showman, the musical. He knows every single word to every song. He'll get it out tonight, I'm sure. Chris is singing tonight. This is the greatest show. Speaking of fate, after Chris moved back to Hong Kong, I came here in 2010 to visit him, and he had a neighbor. Once I met his neighbor, I knew my life had changed forever. That's my beautiful wife, Rachel, and as Katie's maid of honor, she's going to say a few words. She's the funny one out of the two of us as well. So.
Thanks, Annie. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's made it here today, and also a big thank you to Katie and Chris for having all of us to celebrate such a wonderful occasion. Doesn't my sister look amazing, everybody? Chris, you don't look so bad yourself. Have you made sure to apply oil of Olay? Is the lighting okay for the photos? Yeah? Okay. Just checking. Katie, my big sissy. Katie's always been a big major role model in my life, and we all know that she's not been known for her good behavior. When I was younger, she used to sneak me out of our house in Headland Drive and take me down to the plaza, where she would throw a bubble bath in the DB Plaza water fountain, making it overflow with bubbles, forcing security guards to chase us around while we escaped on our getaway skateboard. When we lived in Australia, I think she regretted teaching me these things because I would always use her house as a scapegoat. I used to sneak out of it every time I stayed there. She found out about it once, but she didn't know how often until now. Katie, I don't know if you know, is a very talented cake maker. She used to make me a Barbie birthday cake every year. One day, she surprised my dad with a very atrocious penis cake after my dad had the snip, and surprised him in the garden with a tribe of people singing, "Happy vasectomy to you." I don't think he was very impressed. I don't think he is now either. So, inspired by her dirty cake making skills, on her 40th birthday, I threw her a surprise party in Little Tokyo in Manila. I surprised her with a very large, brown, hairy vagina cake, which had real Snow White black Barbie hair, the only dark-haired Barbie I could find in Toys R Us. Let's just say, the Japanese men who were dining nearby were horrified when she decided to stick her face in the middle of it. Yes, Katie has always tested her limits, which makes me think of one time she was poking a sleeping vegan with a 7-Eleven sausage on my brother's 40th in Phuket. He was absolutely mortified when he woke up with a wet willy in his ear, especially when he found out it wasn't tofu. She then hung on to this sausage and tossed it in my pillow that night. I guess it was a little bit of revenge after I had placed an entire burger in her and Chris's bed sheets a few weeks prior. With Katie's sense of humor, it made it so easy for us to plant a fart machine while she was dressed up as a nun. We were boarding the flight to Koh Samui on our Hendy last weekend. She totally enjoyed every moment of it. She was the farting nun. She even leaned over every time we pressed the fart machine, even when the steward was giving us the immigration passes. She was like, "Brrr." She played the fart fantastically. Pun intended. And, dressed in a hairy man swimming costume, she strutted up and down the beach, scaring off women and children alike. I think that may have been the highlight of her weekend. Well, at least she knew it was like to be a hairy king for one day. Hey! If any of you'd like to give it a go, we've got the hairy Cozzy in the photo booth tonight. You can all try be a hairy king for a night. You're all welcome. So one of the most beautiful things I love about Katie is her honesty. You know if you're wearing something that looks like shit, because she will tell you. She doesn't like anyone she cares about to look like crap. Some people may see that as a bit too forthcoming, but those of you who know Katie, she'll only does it because she cares. And she would bend over backwards for her friends and her family. She is loyal and loving, even if we all get irritated when her phone goes off every 5 seconds. Now, I have to talk about how Chris and Katie first met. I've always been very thankful that I met Chris, because if it wasn't for Chris, who was my neighbor at the time, as you know, then I wouldn't have met my now husband and Chris's best man. After Dave and I had been dating for 6 months or so, I invited Dave and Chris to my brother's birthday party, and Katie joined us. And we always refer to this as that fateful night. Chris couldn't keep his eyes off Katie, and while I didn't notice at the time, Dave reminded me that Chris had the hots on my sister. This night goes down in history, but we're very happy it happened. Chris took me by surprise, and while I left DB and moved back to the Philippines, every time I came back, I was very surprised at how amazing Chris was with Katie's girls and the King family. And anyone who knows us knows that's no mean feat. So, I'm super excited that he's now my brother-in-law. So welcome to my family, Chrissy Wissy, Bantosaurus, with the best burger nips in town, the famous Stingham, or shall I say, Kingham!
some of this. I can't do it. It's an absolute honour to be standing here with you two, or at least across from you. What you both achieve independently is inspiring. With your working achievements, taking care of your family, generally making the most of life, I think the two of you together are unstoppable. And I was already so lucky to have Katie as a sister, despite the number of penises drawn on my face while I'm sleeping. But now to have my best mate as a brother, it's an added bonus. Also thank Chris's parents for doing such a fine job in raising him. I'm sure there were a few bumps and scraps along the way, but I'm sure you're very proud of the man he's become today, and I know how thankful he is to you. It's a wild family you've married into. Most people here know this. All together we know how to enjoy a good party, so let's make tonight one to be remembered forever. Please raise a glass, be standing, and happily ever after to the Kinghams.
Kinghams! The Kinghams!
Hello everybody, I'm Chris's dad, Phil, and this is Chris's mum, Carol, and we also have Carol's husband, Chris, also Chris, and my wife, Sarah, and we'd like to propose a toast, but just before we do that, I would just like to say a few words. First of all, it sort of goes without saying that we are immensely proud of our son. Oh, that's emotional. Here we go. Usually when I'm with you. Dave has spoken about Chris, the man. Most of it true. None of it very complimentary, I'm thinking, but still true. But the man you see before you today is very different from the 15-year-old Christopher Ingham. He was shorter than his grandmother, who was 5'0". Carol and I were seriously concerned about whether he would ever grow. Serious? No, grow physically. No, hang on, Brian. No, he's never growing up. That's for sure. His nickname at school was Little Ingham. You know, seriously, it was Little Ingham. Look at him now. Hugo, where's Hugo? Little Ingham. Right, Hugo. He's not so little now, anyway. There he is. Also different is the nose. He was born with what's called the Ingham nose. The Ingham nose is this great hooter here. Ginormous. But he had that nose. 7 breaks of that nose later, he had to have plastic surgery. He's ended up with quite a delicate little nose, with not too prominent nostrils. Probably a bit of an improvement, Katie, I think, eh?
But a bit girly.
Leave him alone, the boy. What's the matter with you? As a man, he isn't perfect. Just talk to his football mates. They'll tell you about his bitching on the pitch and moaning when the ball doesn't come to his feet. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. He can be terrible. Even I have to give him a bollocking on the football field. But anyway. But he has grown into a fine young man who has been wise enough to choose to marry Katie. You're short, he's tall. Anyway, both Carol and I, before we met Katie, were concerned about the fact that she already had 3 children, I have to say. However, it became apparent very quickly that not only is she absolutely stunning to look at, but she's also that she is very attractive personality, a great character, has an incredible work ethic, if I can speak, and that she's a wonderful mum. Of course, she isn't perfect either. But to me, her main fault is that she works too hard. And if that's the worst fault that somebody has, then all the other faults absolutely can. Yeah, I know I've got the same fault, but never mind. All the others can certainly be overlooked. So we welcome Katie into our family and like to propose a toast to the health and happiness of Mr. and Mrs. Chris Ingham and their 3 lovely girls. Chris, Katie, and the 3 girls. Cheers. Who wants the microphone?
Not us.
Hey guys, one last and final speech. Yeah, I'll get that as well. All right, guys. So, my sister Katie, who is the bride today, and Chris. It all started a few years ago, and when I first met Chris, then I met Dave. And never did I know that 2 good friends that I made all those years ago would end up marrying both my sisters. I couldn't be prouder, but the one thing I have to mention is I do need to go on the stag do a little bit, just a little bit. Chasing after you in a taxi, dressed as a fairy, going, where's the fairy? As I'm tracing down, and all I see is these flapping wings coming in the thing, and you jumped in that cab. Said, the ferry's just around the corner. And I got you, put you back in the cab, and I thought it was the funniest moment in my life. But the one thing, as he mentioned before, was Chris never shied away from his fairy duties. He loved it. We wanted to embarrass him. We wanted to embarrass him, and all he ended up doing was just making himself take the occasion like a gentleman would. But not to go on that anymore, I just want to say how happy and proud I am that now I've got 2 of my best mates as brothers, and I wish you all the best in your marriage. And my amazing sister there that's always been there, part of my life, and I run a business with her. She's my rock. This woman right here is one of the most amazing people you would ever meet. When I stress out with work and I need to like freak out, I go to her. She's always my rock, and she is the most amazing woman in the world. So I just want to forgive your hips for one moment. One more time, can we get up one more time, and also get your teapots and your tequila. I want everyone to pour some tequila in your teapots. We need to do this because you are at a king wedding, let's be honest. Has everyone got their tequilas charged? Get it ready. No weak pause here. Make it proper. Okay, does everyone have their tequilas charged? Getting around? All right.
I've just got one thing to say. As all of you that know me well, Chris never does his tequila. So don't worry, I'll do yours, darling.
All right, guys, to the bride and groom.
So congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Ingham. You're ready to cut your cake together?
Keep running up. Watch it watch for go.
Chop her head off, Katie.
Can we cut through the middle of
Chop
this?
her head off.
Can we cut through the middle of this?
Yeah, cut wherever you want, my love. You know you picked it because it's a ball.
Oh! We need a man.
Do we have another man?
You don't actually have to cut it, it's just for a photo.
Oh, is it?
You know, it's posing it off. It's pose.
Alright.
Their faces are like...
You good?
Hey, man,
Okay.
I'm up and
Right, where are we serving it? Are we digging in or what?
They'll do it for you.
Yeah, let's give him a round of applause.
What would I do without your smiles now? Throwing me no, but I'll be alright. My hands under water, but I'm really fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind. 'Cause all of you, love your curves and all your edges. You're perfect in your perfections. Give your all to me. I give my all to you. You're mine and that we do. Even when I'm losing one, 'cause I give you all of me. this dancing juice. Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you. Well, I know it's your chapel, but I thought we could go. No one will know. Come on, who cares in the trash can? Shots of petrol. It's on. Don't say no, 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 no. Just say yeah, 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 yeah. And we'll go, 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 go. Ready, ready. It's a beautiful night for something done to me right now, baby, baby.
Can we sing 'em?
Tell me right now, baby, what a night for something fun to do. Right now, baby. I wanna marry you. Look in your eyes, or is it this dancing juice? Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you. Yours electric, baby, you I don't the city, off through my home. By flying up no ceiling when we're in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that soul in my feet. Feel that hot but in your pocket when it's woo! Stop the lights when everything goes. Nowhere to hide when I'm getting you close. When you move, well, you already know. So just imagine, just imagine, just imagine. Nothing I can see but you when you dance. I have my hand in your
Right, boys, right, yes!